Hello, I'm Ronnie Eldridge, and welcome to Keeping Relevant. Mark Green is a leading advocate for enlightened policies. He's authored 25 books. How do you do that?
Weekends.
Served in government as Consumer Affairs Commissioner and was elected New York City's first public advocate. We've known each other for over 50 years, and I'm always happy to see you. Although you're younger than I'm happy to see you.
Happy to see you, always.
I remember the first time I was running Bella Abzug's campaign after the incumbent candidate had died. It was a month's campaign, and his widow was attacking Bella. And she was using, as one of her big charges, that a quote which said, when Bella Abzug's name is on a bill, she loses 30 sponsors. You remember that?
Yes. I don't think I said it. I quoted somebody.
No, it was a quote.
Bella was superlative in so many ways. She was a little personally abrasive. Like, this is not a gender related. Right. This is like, whoa, why are you like this? And it's actually not a criticism of her that she would lose votes, because she's a leader. She was principled. She was early on women's issues, racial issues, and Vietnam. Mm-hmm. So if you don't reach high, you don't have enemies.
Yeah. And the Vietnam thing was interesting because it was really versus urban priorities. I mean, which she used in the Lindsay campaign, which really helped get him elected.
Lindsay, who's that?
Elected.
I'm kidding.
Anyway, so we've known each other a long time. Can you imagine that we're in the position that we're in now?
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Who has that level of maybe Joyce Carol Oates, maybe some novelist? We've never been in America in this position. I mean, who's the second most lying, corrupt, sleazebag, nasty POS in the Oval Office? There is no number two.
No, nobody.
You know, LBJ lied about Tonkin Gulf and Vietnam, and Nixon about Watergate, and Eisenhower about the U-2, Soviet U-2. But Trump, it's not that he lies X number of times. It was 34,000, according to the Washington Post, in his first time. He lies all the time. He's like a force field of distortion. Nothing he says is true. And how do you have a democracy where, if we're in government, let's say you're the other party or you're a colleague, where you can't believe one thing I say and I can't believe one thing you say? That's why he gets away with it. He has a religious following who are lower income, largely white, young guys mostly. And so long as they're the only jury that he cares about, since Republican electeds aren't holding him in check at all, if that's his jury, he'll only speak to them. And so suddenly he says, oh, Ukraine invaded Russia. We're having plane crashes, too many black people as control. So that's racist. But he doesn't say black. He says DEI. He circles around it. But if you don't think he's a racist, corrupt liar, you know, you're not paying attention.
But you have been talking about him longer, I think, than most public people, haven't you?
That's a tough question.
When did you start?
In 2001, when I ran for mayor, ultimately against Bloomberg, he endorsed me, Donald. Why? Either he loved me, or, oh God, look at the poll, Green's going to win. I got to talk to him, and I saw that all politicians are narcissists.
And it's all for him.
He has enough right-wing oligarchs' money and lower-income white voters to have snuck into the presidency a second time. First time, thank you, James Comey. Second time, thank you, Merrick Garland, for not doing more earlier. But when he says, oh, I have a landslide, a mandate, of course he's lying. 1.4% plurality is not a mandate for siding with Putin every single time and opposing our natural allies and NATO and having an interracial, intergender administration. Then the question everyone asks is, and that's why I'm here to find out, what do we do about it? And the quote that's motivated me more than any in my public life is Norman Cousins. No one will remember the name, 1950s essayist. He said, "No one's smart enough to be a pessimist." So when I, like everybody, goes, "Oh God, what are we going to do?"
Yeah.
I realize, okay, I'm going to do my share. So I write a book, The Inflection Election. Ralph Nader and I, he's a friend and a colleague and a mentor, did 2 books on Trump, laying out the lies, not one by one. Life isn't long enough. We cluster them to see what's going on up there. The head of the Magicians Association once said, people love a magician because they love a fraud they can believe in. He started his presidency, second term now, with a 51% favorable rating, the lowest of any new president in 60 years, but 51. He's now, as we speak, down to 45 to 47. Will enough people leave him when their mother and father can't get that Social Security check, when their daughter's public school goes in the sinks, when their nephew can't marry the man of his choosing? I mean, everybody is affected directly or indirectly. Mm-hmm. And we in Manhattan, I guess you have a largely Manhattan audience, we kind of, this county went against him more than any other county in America. And so we're very urban, smart, democratic. But a lot of people have been tricked into swallowing his slogans, deep state, woke, and not looking at the facts. So what Democrats have to do, I'm looking to leaders like Hakeem Jeffries, brilliant members like Jamie Raskin, AOC, Jasmine Crockett, Senator Schiff, others, to repeatedly expose the actual impact, real world impacts. So you can say, oh, I sort of like, well, one woman told a pollster in Pennsylvania, I don't believe anything he says is true, but I trust him.
Why?
So can we get her? Because all we need is not for him not to get 49%, but 39%, and his grandchildren will be changing their last name.
This last book you wrote was just before the election.
Right.
And it sounded as if you really thought the Democrats might win. Do you believe that we lost because of our message? I mean, I firmly believe we lost because people weren't going to vote for a woman and a black woman. I really think it's that simple.
Since you have one vote for president, and then there were 20 pressure points, variables that affect you, mm-hmm. It's hard to say what would. First, since the only other woman to get that far, Hillary Clinton, lost, and she was beyond capable, we know her. A black man did win, Barack Obama, right. And he was dismissed, in a sense, mm-hmm. as a generational talent. Mm-hmm. I mean, no one is quite that multiple skilled. Looking back, if you had to isolate one thing, Biden, very good president and a good person. He gave into the vanity of, hey, I'm the president.
Right.
I can win again.
Yeah, and I'm going to finish my term.
And I'm going to do this. And he wasn't honest with himself. And sometimes you got to know when to hold them and fold them. Because he delayed until the pressure got too great, mm-hmm. Kamala Harris only had 100 days to make her case. For an assembly seat, you can do it. But for president, with a brand name like Trump and his demagogic polemical skills, plus the reason you say.
Plus the fact that she had a Jewish husband.
Okay. I don't believe that.
You don't think that?
No, that's so remote. I mean,
you think so?
As for message,
yeah.
Who are you for? Billionaire bullies or we the people?
Right.
Corporate oligarchs from the 1800s or corporate oligarchs Now, violence and lawlessness, Trump provokes violence. He's a walking felon. Or people who believe in the rule of law. Trump believes in the law of rule. Might makes right. And his bullying is attractive to the wrestling fans. I have trouble believing, if he lasts his whole term, that he'll win. The problem is, I think there'll be a big backlash in 2026 if we have an election, and 2028, or people will fold under Trump's threats. The House GOP has, the House Senate has, Supreme Court, with some exceptions, have. If the question is, are we getting close to fascism? Then the answer is we're too close even to ask the question. This guy wants to join the axis of autocrats, you know, like Bolsonaro or China and Russia, as opposed to a tradition from our party, from Lincoln, I know he was technically a Republican, to FDR, which is realism, compassion, and using government as a positive force to help people in need. That's why we have government. And these people treat government as the enemy. If you think government is the enemy, mistakes it'll make, then you don't love America.
So now what do we do, Mr. Optimist?
Three things. First, we're looking for someone who, Lech Walesa in Poland, emerged to challenge communism because of his character and the ability to rally people. Who's our Lech Walesa? Who's a hero who will rise? There are a few dozen Democrats who speak out, and in the social media age, they get votes, and they're social influencers because they ring true. I mentioned some of them earlier. But we need, my vote is to hope that Hakeem Jeffries, who has 215 to 216 House Democrats united, rises to the occasion. Near speakers or speakers rarely rise. They don't rise to president. They don't rise to mayor in our city. Can he rise above all his negotiations, which has gotten to the top? Because he's such an eloquent, attractive public figure.
And smart.
Very smart. And we have to drive home that when Trump says everything's great, Biden gave me a terrible economy. Oh, really? Your economy is much worse. You used to talk about the stock market. Gee, I wonder why you don't now. Second, we have to do better with our narrative. Their theory of the case is hate government. Public bad, private good, which worked a century ago. But come on, we've had the Depression since then. And ours is all of us know more than any one of us. It's a democratic wisdom of the crowds. And I hope that a person watching what's going on, I don't know who the nominee will be, will go, well, maybe black people like the Democratic nominee in 2028. But for God's sakes, Biden helped our family, my family. Regulation helped tame capitalism. And Trump wants a new plantation. So a few oligarchs like him are in the castle, and everybody else are like serfs.
It just rejects the whole concept that government is really good for people. I mean, isn't that the
In the final
simplistic-
test, it's democracy or piracy. These guys are pirates, and they're attacking the ship of state.
So,
And we gotta fight back at the level of message, narrative, and future agenda. Now people say, oh, what are you gonna run on? Ronnie, people aren't waiting for a 30-point blueprint. I've done a lot of them. Name the year, I'll show you the blueprint. That will organically evolve from the base and commentators and elected officials and rallies and labor, what have you. It will add up, and then someone will rise who can voice it. And Democrats do have about 10 people, and it's impossible to because you can handicap a race if someone's running with a famous name or they were a great senator. No one now has a prohibitive advantage. But I vote for Hakeem to give a national address to show the way. Hakeem Jeffries. Yeah. And I'm a Brooklyn boy, so he has my vote. And Schumer is better than he sounds, as Wagner said as was said of Wagner's music. But eloquent he's not. He's a brilliant guy, and we'll see, as I said, Jamie Raskin of Maryland, Adam Schiff of California, AOC of Bronx, Queens. These people are so skilled in the new vocabulary of social media. Trump is skilled in the vocabulary of violence and vendettas. And his successor will not have his level of, I mean, it's hard to say, charisma to kind of the white angry workers. And so historically, the out party gains an average of 25 seats in the first off-year election after a president is elected. So in 2026, that would make Democrats, by a lot, the majority in the House.
If they can win the House.
Well, that's halfway there. The Senate, we need 4 seats. People die, special elections. But if we fall over the cliff of fascism before then, because this Supreme Court, with 3 hardcore ultra-right monarchs voting, if we go over that cliff, and when the most powerful politician on the planet and the richest person on the planet combine to buy elections and muscle people, we are at risk of falling into a kind of American fascism, something we've never had, maybe in the state of Louisiana under Huey Long.
But can we last for 4 years through it?
Invite me back. Yes, if Democrats rise, leaders have messages, we start etching out a positive blueprint, and we get an election, and this, because if he crosses the line and doesn't obey a court order, which they keep flirting on doing now in mid-March, then it's a different country.
So we're really dependent on our judicial system.
Yes, because the political system has collapsed. That's unfair. The GOP has collapsed.
Has the GOP collapsed out of fear?
Yes, sir.
You really believe that?
Well, partly it's belief. A lot of them are have a reactionary racial base.
Yeah, but how many of them do?
Oh, that's a good question. Half of Republicans in polls said that Obama wasn't an American. It's not that they didn't like him. He wasn't even born here. So half of their 40% are crazy fanatics, period. The other half, for reasons of region or religion or race, are winnable, but Trump is a minority president in a certain sense. He's governing based on narrow margins and fear. He told Bob Woodward, who's written many books on presidents and him, I'm going to admit now how I govern. Said Trump, fear. And Republicans know that Trump is very popular with Republicans, unpopular with them, and all they are afraid of is Elon Musk financing a far-right opponent in a primary and beating them, which has happened, Liz Cheney, for example. So they're scared. It's hard to get mad at them because this is the profession they've chosen. But unless you stand up, why go to work?
The role then, everybody has a role to play into continuing to object and continuing to accuse us, of the lies and the transgressions and the lack of, it's so overwhelming, but you're saying we have to keep at it.
You know, Trump believes in free speech for friends who give the Nazi salute,
He doesn't.
but not for AP, who
doesn't.
wants to read a map.
Right. He doesn't really believe
He doesn't believe in anything.
He doesn't believe in anything other than himself.
Right.
You know? So it's a struggle, but do you have trouble mastering the internet? I mean, the social media? Is it too chaotic?
Yes, I have. My brother, very successful in real estate, is 7 years older than I am, Steve Green, SL Green Realty. And he's enough older than me that he can't do it. You know, he just, so thank God I'm at Blue Sky, Mark Green, NY, at the bsky.social. And so every morning I go online, and before I read the New York Times, I scan through all the smartest people that I tag and I read. And in an hour, I learn from the 50 smartest, best people I know, get a take, and then tweet myself. I don't know what it's even called.
Right.
Now I'm on X, but I'm leaving X because of Musk. I'm not burning down a Tesla dealership. That would be wrong. But I'm leaving X because he's ruined X. He's ruining Tesla. Half his wealth is gone because of him. And he may be ruining Trump.
And the country.
And the country. One guy to have that big a bad impact, I don't think any private sector person in America has ever done more damage than this otherwise smart guy. It's sad.
So we've come to the end. So
Of the show.
The show. Oh, thank you. That's very good. Let's stay optimistic, all right? And let's really try to get through this and it would be nice to get through it soon. I don't know what happens, but there's so much more to talk about, so we'll try.
I want to convince first my wife, Denny, who is like you and me in terms of her progressive, democratic bona fides. She can't watch the news. We all know friends who like...
I know, a family like that too.
But we can't check out.
Yeah.
We have to call them out
Right.
and then vote them out.
Right. Thank you, Mark Green.
Oh, it's my pleasure, really.
CUNY TV now has an app. Downloading the app will let you watch any show, including mine, at your convenience.